But right now, we're joined by a Republican candidate for governor in the free state of Maryland, Charles Lollar. Charles, I saw your post earlier today about Maryland's chicken tax. Now, we've got the rain tax, we've got the flush tax. Certainly, they're not going to put a tax on our Colonel Sanders.
Absolutely unbelievable. First of all, thank you so much for having me on. But absolutely unbelievable. Just when you think it couldn't get any worse.
Explain this to me, because, listen, I understand. Here's my guess. Now, Annapolis sees there's money to be made out there, so we're going to start taxing all of those very, very wealthy liberal Democrats who go to Whole Foods and buy organic free-range chicken. We're just going to add a little tax on that, and we'll get that tax, that chicken tax, from all of the liberal Democrats. That's what they're doing, right?
Not at all. Not at all. Instead, they're penalizing hard-working farmers, middle-class men and women out there, a $2.6 billion industry, for hard-working Marylanders. And they're throwing a tax on those farmers' chickens, trying to tie, of course, the pollution of the Chesapeake Bay. And as frustrating as this is, we're not taking a balanced approach whatsoever. It's almost as if we're accusing our farmers of being guilty.
Yeah, here's a shock. So the tax is going to be levied on rural areas and middle-class farmers, people who tend to be conservative and vote another way. All right, what's the rationale here? You just said, how does a chicken farmer relate to pollution, supposed pollution in the Chesapeake Bay?
Well, the idea is that the offspring from chickens, or the chicken manure.
Oh, the droppings.
Yes. Somehow it makes its way, in some cases, into the water lines or the sewage lines, which make their way down into the Chesapeake Bay. It's some of the same rationale that they used to sue Alan Hudson out there on the Eastern Shore. By the way, a lawsuit he won. And many of the citizens out there threw their arms around the Hudson family to help pay those bills off, as Hudson actually watched his own tax dollars sue him for these rates that weren't even there on his property. But it's the same concept. They're going after our farmers. They're going after middle-class jobs. And, again, they're using an approach that's simply unfair to farmers.
Yeah, so, I think a lot of people in Montgomery County and Prince George's County and in Baltimore, they think that Maryland is just this little suburban mecca outside of Washington and Baltimore. There's a huge agricultural industry in Maryland.
It's incredible. It's one of the largest, if not the largest, economic driving force in terms of our economic industry in Maryland. It accounts for $2.3 billion in gross receipts to the economy annually, and it generates 46,000 jobs. More than half of these jobs are right there on the Eastern Shore. So why are we willing to risk economic stability, specifically on the Eastern Shore, for something, by the way, that's not even proven? These legislators from Montgomery County, these two in specific, I'm not sure if they've ever been down on the Eastern Shore to visit some of these chicken farms.
Listen, I think we would all agree that a lot of these taxes and a lot of these laws that come out of Annapolis are it's a whole lot of chicken poop. But this one actually literally is about taxing the poop from chickens. As it relates to the Chesapeake Bay. Charles Lollar, I keep telling Republicans in this state that between this kind of thing and the rain tax and the flush tax and the governor and his attorney general, the way they've messed up, the lieutenant governor, the way they've messed up the healthcare system in Maryland, plus add to that the gun grab that happened earlier this year, this should be a great year for Republicans. Talk to me about your campaign and your hopes for governor.
I tell you what, my hope is that it's a great year for Maryland. That's my hope. My hope is that many Marylanders across the board will be able to see that these issues that are impacting us, they're not Republican issues. They're not Democrat issues. They're fighting against our freedom and way of life here in this state. And I think that's what we're hearing. As I journey this state, Eastern Shore, Western Maryland, the central heart, Prince George's, Montgomery, Howard, Baltimore City, and Southern Maryland, I'm hearing the same thing. People are joining our team because they're just tired of politics as usual, and they're tired of the division that exists and just the outright nastiness and how they deal with everyday Maryland citizens. Our campaign is about taking care of Maryland first and getting away from these types of bills that hurt Maryland first, these policies that hurt Maryland first, that drive business out of our state. we can change that. And a new way forward, a Lollar administration will do just that.
All right, Charles Lollar, you were a Marine, you're an MBA, you got a beautiful big family, 5 children. But, you know, what I understand is Anthony Brown, our lieutenant governor, he's going to run on the idea that he can be Maryland's first African-American governor. Do you have a response to that? I mean, that's a tough thing to run against.
I do have a response to that, and here's my response to that. We're not trying to run this election to break records. We've had that happen before. I mean, being black, white, Latino, those issues don't matter. Here's my answer. Here's what matters. What is best for Maryland? I am so tired of using race and using party to get yourself one leg up. Look, the lieutenant governor doesn't have a leg to stand on when it comes to policy. He, unfortunately, is part of the same WMAL administration that's driven this state into the ground. I'm not concerned about skin color. Many of your listeners know what my skin color is. And I don't lead with that first.
I know you don't, Charles Lollar. I know you don't. And I just wanted to bring it up because I've heard so many voices say it's time for Maryland's first black governor. Well, I agree it is. Charles Lollar is a good place to start. Thanks for joining us, Mr. Lollar. Traffic and weather in 1 minute.